Hey gang, Lake Barkley, big bass, lots of fun, lots of action. Stay tuned because Fox Sports Outdoors is on the air now.
You're watching the only program with weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news from the Southeast region. This is Fox Sports Outdoors.
Hey guys, my name's Crispin Pally. Welcome to this week's show. I'm excited to be standing in for Barry today, and I'm excited to be standing in the parking lot of a launch ramp on Lake Barkley. Lake Barkley is one of my favorite lakes. It's in northwest Tennessee and Kentucky, and it is about 134 miles long. It's about 58,000 acres, pretty big lake, but it's often overshadowed by Kentucky Lake, which it's in very close proximity to. It was impounded in 1966, so it's been around a while, and it has grown some big bass in that time, and I hope to show you some of those today. Really excited to be here. Really diverse lake. We're going to catch some shallow, we're going to catch some out offshore. This is summertime fishing at its best, and I hope to show you why Lake Barkley deserves to stand alone and not be in the shadow of Kentucky Lake all the time. We're going to get you some incredible fishing reports from your local region and your local reporters. I'm going to get this boat launch set up, and while I do, I'm going to send you back to the FSN studios for your weekend planner.
The Salooner tables are pointing towards Sunday and Monday as the best times to be on the water for fishing action over the long holiday weekend. Overall, Monday is anticipated to have the best game fish activity, with Labor Day conditions forecast to be excellent. Expect the sun to rise at 7:03 a.m. and set at 7:49 p.m. And evenings will be bright with a moon that is 93% visible. Stay with us, we've got fishing reports from around the area on the way. Plus, Bassmaster elite angler Ish Monroe joins us for this week's Ask the Pro question. Back in a bit.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Lew's, fueled by passion, driven by innovation. Feel the difference. Gene LaRue Bass Baits and Bobby Garland Crappie Baits, the leaders in soft plastic lures innovation. And NITRO Performance Fishing Boats. Champions aren't born, they're made.
Just a nice Lake Barkley keeper right there. Let me tell you a little bit about what I'm doing today. You know, the cool thing about Barkley is that you can catch them shallow and deep, pretty much year round. You can catch them in the summertime around shallow bushes, around shallow wood cover, which there's a ton of on these flats that compromise the most of the midsection of the lake, or you can catch them offshore like you would on, say, Kentucky Lake, the neighbor lake over here. Today, I am gonna spend a little bit of time doing both because I thought that was kind of the unique thing about the lake that I wanted to showcase. I'm gonna flip soft plastics primarily to bushes that are near deep water. They're shallow bushes. They're either right on the edge or right off the edge of the river channel. They're gonna be right on the edge or right off the edge of a creek channel. They're going to be primarily the money bushes are going to be the ones that are on the points, or the little single bushes that set out apart. If you've got a big row of bushes running through there and you've got one bush setting out, odds are that's where your bite's going to come. There's one. It's just a nice Lake Barkley keeper right there. You know, I'm starting to put a little bit of a pattern together. I have got to where now every bite is either coming on a isolated bush or it's coming on the base of a willow tree. So I'm kind of skipping around now and kind of not fishing a whole bunch of the in-between stuff. And I'm just really concentrated. I've kind of narrowed it down. Like basically every fish I've caught today has come on a bush out by itself or at the base of a willow tree. I'm gonna throw this dude back. I'm gonna find me another willow tree, and I'm gonna send you to your local fishing report.
This week's Alabama, Georgia, and Mississippi Freshwater Fishing Report is sponsored by Southern Saltwater Fly Fishing Magazine. This destination-oriented e-zine covers the great saltwater action on the South Atlantic and Gulf Coast from Maryland to Panama and the Caribbean islands. Subscriptions are free at www.southernsaltflyfishing.com. Now, as we close out the month of August this week, the angling across Alabama, Georgia, and Mississippi continues to center on finding cooler, moving water for the best success. In Alabama, the coolest water is on the Sipsey Fork River below the dam at Lewis Smith Lake. The water temperature here stays below 70 degrees year-round, and this allows for stocking of rainbow trout in the tailwater. The river gets 3,500 fish in the 8 to 12-inch range monthly. Anglers catch these fish on inline spinners, corn and worms, or fly casting with midge flies. The best fishing upstream of State Route 69 bridge to above the Sipsey River pump station. You can wade this part of the river on low water, but caution is advised. When the horn sounds at the dam, the water rises quickly. In northwest Mississippi, the channel catfish action gets fast and furious just after rainstorms on the feeder streams and rivers running into Granada Lake. Earthworms are the best bet here for bait. Blue catfish are biting down on Lake Andrews on the Chattahoochee River in southwest Georgia this week. Cut shad in the upper part of the river is the best bet.
We're coming right at the boat. That's why, because he's got salad hanging out of him. Once again, guys, it's that same deal. It's you know, the thing is, when you get to a place like this, like Lake Barkley or wherever you fish, if you get into a situation where there's just, I mean, you literally, there's more cover than anywhere you've ever seen. It's just incredible, the shallow cover on this lake. And you can spend all day and just catch one here, one there, one here, one there. Or you can kind of really pay attention to what the fish are telling you. Like I've mentioned, they are really setting up on isolated bushes and on the bases of willow trees. It's not a long fish, but he's fat and healthy. That's a good sign. Based on the fish that I was seeing up shallow, this one looks a whole lot healthier. You know, I'm going to spend part of my time today here on Lake Barkley fishing offshore or a little bit deeper. I'm not going to call it super deep, but it's deeper. And what I'm looking for primarily is creek channel stuff. I'm going to be in the bays. On the south end of the lake from the Highway 68 bridge south, the lake fishes a whole lot more like a river. And most of your good offshore stuff is going to be in the creek, in the bays where you're fishing the actual creek channel. I'm looking for bends, I'm looking for points, just turns in that creek, just basically irregularities in the contour of that creek. And that's where most of your fish are going to congregate. I'm going to use my electronics and try to locate some fish. But there's a lot of stuff over here that's even offshore pretty shallow. And in a case like this, a lot of times, if I know where a good spot is, I'm not going to graph it. I'm going to pull right up there and throw to it. This fish right here he's feeling pretty good. Let's go right here. Yeah, that's a pretty fat fish right there. Tell you a little bit about what we're doing here. I have been in the bushes and the willow trees, and I've caught several, but pulled out here on one of these first outside deals, and it's kind of a creek ledge, a creek turn, and this was one of my first few casts. So I'm gonna run around and throw this 6XD around a little bit, see what I can't find. It's not a long fish, but he's fat and healthy. That's a good sign. Based on the fish that I was seeing up shallow, this one looks a whole lot healthier. So I'm gonna put this one back. I'm gonna get repositioned because the wind's blowing. I'm gonna send you to your local fishing report.
Hey folks, it's time for that Carolinas Report this week, and I tell you what, it's coming to you, brought to you by the Dead Dog Saloon. Located on the Marsh Walk in Myrtles Inlet. Get on down here and enjoy what we have to offer. 7 days a week, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And you know, here it's always about the food, the view, and the best music you're gonna find in the Southeast. Let's talk about fresh water. So many things going on, but I tell you what, the water temperatures are still hot. Early in the morning, late in the afternoon is gonna be your best time. Also find that deeper water where the bait's gonna be holding. If you're out targeting bass or striped bass, same thing. Find those ledges. The bait's gonna hold there, you're gonna find the fish there. Look for that thermocline, where that water temperature changes. Find it on that depth finder of yours. It's gonna be that line that goes across the bottom. Tune it in, find it, and you're gonna find the fish. Also in the freshwater side of things, I tell you what, if you wanna catch a catfish, you need to give Zach Royce a call up on Lake Gaston and go fishing with him. That man catches the biggest catfish, and he does it trolling, something that a lot of people don't do. and he produces some of the biggest catfish. Also, looking at temperatures are starting to fall, look at those mountain streams and those mountain lakes. Get up. It's time to go trout fishing. It's going to be some incredible fishing as we move into the fall. Schedule your trip with a great guide up there. Get on those rivers. You can have a wonderful time up there with a fly or a conventional rod catching trout this time of the year. This has been your Carolinas Report, and it's brought to you by the Dead Dog Saloon. Remember, fish smarter, not harder, and keep your chaos organized.
Cranking is one of my favorite ways to catch a bass, and I'm going to tell you a little common misnomer. Everybody goes out and buys these 5 1-to-1 and 4 3-to-1 reels, you know, because they're billed as cranking reels because of the low gear ratio. It makes a crankbait a lot easier to pull. My experience has been that the faster I reel a crankbait, the better I get bit on it. And I know there's a lot of people that would disagree with that, and that's completely cool, but my system is one of speed and hopefully efficiency, and I feel like a crankbait will catch an active fish, but where it excels is it'll get a reaction bite from a non-active fish. So I do feel like a lot of these bass that I'm targeting today are not real active. And I like a crankbait for that because I can take it and basically make them eat it or move. And I'm okay with either one. My theory is more casts I make, the more potential bites I get. So don't look at a crankbait as just a slow moving bait or a bait that, you know, is just for active fish. Be a little open-minded about it, and you can almost force them to eat this crankbait if you'll throw it enough. There's one right there. Oh, here he is. Whew. I had him hung in something for a second. This feels like a decent fish. Oh, that's a pretty good one. When they got that front hook in their mouth, that means they are liking what you're giving them. Another one of these, golly, Bill, I'm gonna have to have the pliers to get this one out. Look at that. I mean, he has got it. That is, when they're getting the front hook of your crankbait in the mouth, that is a great sign that you've got the right color, the right action, the right retrieve speed. Everything is just right. When they're getting that back hook, they might not be eating it as good, but that front hook is a sure enough sign that that they like what you're throwing. Guys, we're going to, I'm gonna put this one back, try to catch his big brother.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Motor Guide Trolling Motors. Motor Guide, because accuracy matters. Lowrance Electronics, celebrating 60 years of fish finding excellence. Find, navigate, dominate. And Excite Technologies, powering the world forward.
He's mean. Hey, welcome back everybody. Today we're on Lake Barkley. And just in case you're interested in coming to Lake Barkley, let me give you a few little tips and facts about the lake. It was impounded in 1966 by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. It spans about 58,000 acres, and it's known as the sister lake to Kentucky Lake because it runs parallel with Kentucky on a pretty much north and south plain. The north end of the lake, which would be from the Highway 68 bridge north, is a little bit deeper, a little bit clearer, a little bit more offshore. And when you get south of the Highway 68 bridge on what I would call the midsection to the south end of the lake, you'll see that it is more like a river. It is more shallow cover, there's a little bit more color to the water, very current oriented. There's one. He's mean. Flipped that rage bug in that bush and he just smoked it. Now, let me tell you a little about what I've done. Started out this morning, shallow. The shallow bite was fair at best. It wasn't as good as I was hoping it'd be, so I moved out and I caught some better fish. But man, I came over here to catch them shallow, so I've jumped back up here around the bank. The sun's higher, and a lot of times when the sun gets high, everybody, I think, often has this preconceived notion that cloudy, you know, early and late is best for shallow, and the middle of the day when it's hot is best for deep. While I understand that, let me tell you why I might disagree. When the sun's straight overhead, it puts all of the shadow in the cover. So a bush or a log or a tree at that point in time, in my mind, is more attractive to a bass for the shade that it offers. So I'm gonna put him back, re-rig, I'm gonna get over here and catch another one out of a shady bush. I'm gonna send you to your Inside Fishing Report.
This part of the program is brought to you by Visit Jacksonville. Northeast Florida offers great fishing, family-fun beaches, top restaurants and resorts that are easy to get to, and offer outdoor fun for everyone. So come on, visit Jacksonville.
Well, fishing has been great along the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Schooling, jack crevalle, ladyfish, bluefish, and Spanish mackerel are all along the Clearwater areas, primarily on the south side of the barrier islands. Look for bait schools and diving birds, and it's a great fun family activity, catching lots of light tackle fish that way. Redfishing also has been good in the marsh areas. Biloxi Bay is good, Pascagoula area has been outstanding, and Bay St. Louis is always good for redfish, and right now they're really on fire, working those marsh areas, the mouths of creeks and that sort of thing, feeding into the bigger waters. Trout fishing has been good for anglers using live croakers along the Mississippi coast. For whatever reason, the fish tend to be on the east side of the barrier islands, those point areas. You can catch them wade fishing and also drifting in boats. And there's triple tail in the bays and around the channel markers and the range markers in Mississippi and in Alabama. Cobia fishing in Alabama has been outstanding around the anchored ships. And over in southeast Georgia, Captain Greg Hildreth says that right now that tarpon fishing, it just can't get any better. Well, that's it for the coast. Get out on the water and take a youngster with you when you go.
Your Tennessee and Kentucky Fishing Report is brought to you by Orion Coolers. Orion Coolers are made to fit your lifestyle. With tons of ways to accessorize them to fit your needs, they come in the most awesome colors on the market. They come in sizes ranging from 25 to 85 quarts, and these things are bomb-proof. Buy one and you're done. Check them out at orioncoolers.com. Guys, the fishing in Tennessee and Kentucky right now is spotty. I know I gave you a pretty uplifting report last week, but I'm gonna be real with you this week. We've kind of got back to the dog days of summer. Things are a little tougher than that. There's not a lot of current flow throughout the Tennessee or the Cumberland right now, which are our major two waterways that really affects the fishing. In Kentucky, I'm hearing really good things about what's happening at Lake Cumberland, especially at night. Big smallmouth and big spotted bass being caught up there. Go check it out. Also, Gibson County Lake is over in West Tennessee. Not a lot of numbers, but big ones are being caught. A buddy of mine caught 4 8-pounders out of one tree over there the other day. He didn't tell me how long he spent fishing it, but anyway, there's some big fish in Gibson County. And of course, the Tennessee River's good. You can catch a few, you can catch a couple big ones. There's just not a lot of numbers right now. So, you know, it's a good time to night fish still. Percy Priest, Center Hill, Dale Hollow are still on fire at night with the spinnerbait and the jig. But out here, guys, it's kind of tough. It's gonna get better. We're gonna see summer start to crest and turn towards fall. The fishing will pick up.
Be sure to join Fox Sports Outdoors again next week, Thursday night at 6, or catch the repeat airing Sunday morning at 8:30. And you can always watch the latest episode in full HD on the front page of our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. Plus, catch up on all past episodes by clicking the archive button. And see lots of our how-to and product videos by selecting the how-to button. Join our online fishing community. Just click the like button on our Facebook page for access to daily posts with lots of fishing news, videos, and frequent giveaways. And stay up to date with all the latest fishing information and photos by following our Twitter feed. Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Tracker Boats. It's more than a boat, it's a tracker. Mercury Marine, go boldly. And Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for the Ask the Pro question. This week, Tanner would like to know, what is strolling? For the answer, we asked Bassmaster Elite Angler Ish Monroe.
Well, strolling is technically illegal in tournament bass fishing according to bass rules. But strolling is basically you're taking a cast with your lure and you're making the longest cast you possibly can. Then you're taking your trolling motor, which you're basically out of gear, your reel out of gear, and you're trolling back. as far as you possibly can to where you're almost out of line, and then you start cranking. You click it over in gear and start cranking. And so you've pretty much made a long cast and added an extra, 30 yards by just moving your trolling motor down the bank with the thumb bar down and start cranking there, and that's called strolling.
Thank you, Ish. If you have a question for one of the pros, visit our website, follow the Ask the Pro link on the right side of the page, and send it in. Now one of our viewers wins a new pair of sunglasses on the Costa Catch of the Week.
It's time for this week's Costa Catch of the Week contest.
This week's winner is Keith Burns of Alexandria, Alabama, showing off his 4-pound, 5-ounce spotted bass he caught out of Neely Henry Lake in Alabama.
To enter the contest, go to foxsportsoutdoors.com. Click on Costa Catch box off to the right side of the homepage and follow the instructions to send in your big fish photo. You could win a new pair of Costa sunglasses. Here's the gear you need to do what you saw today. I had 3 very important components to making my day much easier and much more efficient. One would be the terminal coffin and the deep cranking coffin from Bass Mafia. Their boxes are second to none. The terminal coffin keeps everything just completely organized. I could go from shallow to deep, all my weights, hooks, everything super easy to find. Deep cranking coffin holds 44 deep diving crankbaits. So to make that move like I did when I got out wide and started catching those fish deep, the deep cranking coffin was invaluable. The number 2 thing would be the power pole blades. Perhaps the coolest invention ever for a bass boat. I would pull up to an area where there were 2 or 3 isolated bushes, which were the key, drop those power pole blades and sit there without moving. Never touch a trolling motor, spook a fish, never move, and make pinpoint casts with my boat completely under control. And number 3, what is often overlooked, is my Atlas jack plate from TH Marine. When you're running around a lake like Lake Barkley, which is an impoundment of the Cumberland River, which is primarily flat and shallow, there's a lot of times when you've got to get up on plane in shallow water, or you've got to run across a shallow flat. With that Atlas jack plate, I can alter the height of my motor to make it more efficient and make it just safer all the way around. I can take off shallower, I can run shallower, I can adjust for the load of my boat. That's the gear you need. Let me talk to you for a minute about stuff that matters. We live in a day and age, a society, a culture where everything in life has gotten to be about me or about you. It's about what makes us happy, what makes us feel good, what's convenient. And none of that stuff is wrong or bad. Being happy, feeling good, convenience is awesome. But I heard a phrase the other day, and I've heard it before, but it just really struck me this time, and that's the phrase random act of kindness, which is an awesome thing to do, just to randomly do a kind act for someone. What I want to challenge you to do is be intentionally kind. What if we got up each day with the intention of being kind to everybody we encountered? In the morning when you get your coffee, what about buying the guy behind you a cup of coffee just because? At the gas station, what if you pump gas for the little old lady you encounter? Let somebody pull out in traffic. There's a million ways that we can show our kindness to people and change the world we live in. That's stuff that matters. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you had as much fun as I did learning how to find and catch summertime bass on Lake Barkley. Barry will be back with you next week. Until then, great fishing and God bless.